Welcome everyone to this business profits and cash flow analysis tool. Just going to show you how to use this tool. This is really cool. It's something you can use to predict the targets that you want to hit in your business, and also if you're going to increase profit or increase the volume in your business, how is that going to affect your cash flow? If you want to put on a new staff member, what is the cost of that? What do they need to do in relation to volume in the business? How do we need to increase volume to cover that? So there's lots of different ways we can use this as a review of the past, as well as looking at what will happen and predicting what we can do in the future or what we need to do to achieve our goals. So the first thing we look to do is put in all the data. So the revenue, as you can see, this business is growing, revenue is going up, gross margin in dollars is going up, our net profits are going up, depreciation is reasonably flat, some of these other expenses, taxes paid, are reasonably flat, going up slightly, distributions to the owners is increasing, and we've also got an increase in our assets and also an increase in our liabilities. So as we're growing, everything is growing. So once we've gone through that and put all the information in, this is the report we get, and this is what we would review for you so that we can give you some insight into how your business is operating. The first thing we look at is the profit. Obviously the profit's increasing, as we said before, growing business, increasing profit. Interestingly, the operating profit percentage as a percentage of how much sales you're making, so what your profit is compared with your sales, is actually dropped slightly, but no big numbers to worry about there. Balance sheet is quite strong. Total assets still larger than total liabilities. We would hope to get this a little bit better, so we want the equity to be a little bit more than what it currently is, so it'd be something that we can look at how we can work on that. Cash flow seems to be a bit of an issue as the business is growing. We're not growing using cash, we seem to be growing using debt, so our levels of debt are increasing every year, so it's something that we can look at to see how we can change that. So having a more in-depth look at the profitability trends, as we said, profits are going up. However, as our margins are increasing and our revenue is increasing, the actual profit that's coming back to us has stayed reasonably steady, which is a bit of a concern. This is one of the reasons. So as our revenue is growing, so are our expenses. Revenue is slightly more than cost of goods sold. However, when we look at overheads, our overhead costs, so what it's costing us, has gone up more than what our revenue growth has gone up. So as we're growing, it's actually costing us significantly more, so our processes and systems clearly aren't handling the increase in revenue. We look through some of these profitability ratios. Most of these are reasonably steady. You can see most of the percentages haven't moved particularly far. Revenue growth was actually slightly down this year as a percentage of what it was on prior years. So that is something you may look at, but still the overall growth this year is 14%, which is still reasonably good. Looking at working capital, this is an area of concern. As the business is growing, the days that our inventory is sitting on the floor or either in a stock room or in a showroom, in this case it's gone up significantly as the business is growing. It's also taking us longer to collect our cash from our customers. Another area that we can look at how we can change. This timeline is pretty cool. So this is the day that inventory arrives. This is the day 46 is when we're paying our suppliers. Our inventory then is sold at day 121. The cash is coming back to us at day 201. This working capital days Basically, this is showing us that from the time our inventory arrives to the time we're banking our cash, on average we're paying here at day 46 and getting cash at day 201. So there's 154 days that we're actually having to fund buying to selling from a cash perspective. Very powerful to know those sorts of things. That's a long time. That's why our levels of liability, our levels of debt are going up, and our profits are coming down on this one. So this one here, working capital, as you can see, for every $100 of revenue, $36 is invested into working capital. This number is also increasing, so our costs are going up. Even though our revenue is going up, our costs are going up at a greater rate. Our working capital costs as a percentage are going up quicker than our gross margin. So as we're growing, we're not being as efficient as we were when we were at a smaller size. These numbers here, most of these ratios are reasonably flat. Some of these are things that we would want to look at. It's working capital days, as we just spoke about, how that looks in terms of actual money, movement of cash. Chapter 3 is our other capital. Everything's reasonably flat in here for this business. Most of the signs are pretty good, and the ones that are bad are only small movements. So it's not too bad, that one. Chapter 4, our equity funding. So obviously our levels of debt are increasing, which is not good. Our equity, so what we're putting into the business, is also increasing because obviously we don't have the cash flow there because of the inefficient systems. Basically, we have to have $193,000 of borrowings to fund the cash flow shortfall. Those numbers are reasonably well reflected in here. Cash flow shortfall. This is why, as our business is growing, because we're not receiving our cash quick enough, our stock's sitting around for too long, we don't have the cash to be able to fund the growth of the business, so we have to borrow to get it. Okay, so this is the power of one. This is really quite a powerful section. Basically, we look at what happens if we had a 1% increase in price, if we increased our volume further, if we reduced our cost of goods sold by 1%, what is our overhead reduction if we reduce that by 1%, reduction in accounts receivable days, a reduction in inventory days, and an increase in accounts payable. So pay our accounts slower, get our money in quicker, reduce the amount of time that our stock's sitting on the floor. This can show us the quickest and most powerful way to move this business forward. And most people would think if we grow our business, so if we increase our volume, that the business would be better off. However, in this case, because of our inefficient systems, it's actually not the case. So let's say we put a plan in place. So we want to increase our price by 2%. We're going to leave our volume the same. We're going to spend $50,000. So this is actually going to cost us more, around about $50,000. We're going to spend that money to put in a better system, and that's going to actually reduce our cost of goods sold by 5%. Fairly small amount, as you can see, has a massive impact on the profit and on the cash flow. We're also going to pay someone $50,000. Leave it sit there. $48,000 to reduce the amount of days that it's taking for us to collect our cash. At the moment it was at 80 days. We're going to have that reduced to 60. We'll make it 3 weeks quicker, so we'll make it 21 days faster. We're going to receive our money. We can also look at inventory days, so we may pay someone else to control our stock flow and get things out to our customers quicker. So we're going to pay someone, we're going to put some stock control, wrong way. We're going to put some stock control processes in place. We're going to spend $30,000 on that, and that's going to reduce our inventory days by 2 weeks. 14 days, and we're going to pay our suppliers at the same time as we currently do. Now, as you can see, what that has done, this plan that we've come up with, those few things that we're going to target, has increased the profit of the business. It's cost us to increase it, but what it has actually done has ensured that our cash flow is significantly better. So we're going to have an extra $800,000 in the bank, even though it's costing us more to do it. Our profit's up slightly. 200,000 is pretty good, but this is the real important thing, because at the moment we've had to fund the business using loans. And now we can have a look at how that will affect the value of the business. So for this business, we'll just change this. So in here we can change the value of the business. So we want $2 million for the business. The current business value before we made our changes was $207,000. So there was a gap, $1,792,000. Those few small changes we made actually increased the value by $1,493,000 to $1.7 million. As you can see, our gaps closed significantly back to $299,000. So a targeted value, this is the power of making those few changes. So we can see how those changes can make a significant difference to our business. So there's lots of different scenarios we can run with this, but obviously very powerful tool, very good to see exactly what you want to do in your business, how that will affect your cash flow and your profit based on how your business has operated in the past, how making changes can make a significant difference to those profits. Hope you enjoyed the show, and if you have any questions, you know how to contact us. Thank you.